So we know HSR is no stranger to making character alts. I mean, let's be honest here, Evernight is a March alt, and although I did pull her despite not liking March, you can still say they're basically the same character. Though speaking of pulling, don't forget to check out today's sponsor, Top Up Live. Top Up Live is a service that allows you to top up on your account at a discount, especially if you use discount code SAY, which will be linked down below. You can purchase monthly cards. You can purchase the shards themselves at a discount. And if you're somebody who wants a little bit more safety and security, you can just purchase the guaranteed bundles, though keep in mind the discount code does not apply here. These include the amount of gems required to pull the character at max pity, especially if you were to lose the 50-50. These also apply towards weapon banners, because let's be honest here, that 75-25 isn't 100%. So once again, thank you to Top Up Live for sponsoring this video. Now, even though we already have a March alt, and even though technically speaking, we did get alts of other characters, Fug and Tingyun are the same person. IL is quite literally just Dan. And you can technically consider the Herta and base Herta or small Herta to be the same person, even though they're kind of different, but not really. And we have a wide roster. So let's talk about the characters who I personally think deserve an alt. Now, anyone listed in S tier is going to be characters who I absolutely think deserve an alt, and everybody else, as we get lower and lower, are characters who I either think A, don't need one, or B, it's kind of understandable, but not necessarily needed. I will want to clarify that in my opinion, as an example, let's use March 7th here because she already has an alt. Let's compare her to Evernight. I personally prefer when a character gets an alt that is just them, rather than a character like Evernight, who is technically speaking a different entity, but is still a part of March. An example, I like the alternate variations we've gotten to Dan because they've expanded on Dan as a person. You've not gotten a different person entirely. Even if we're extending this beyond, Fug is still Tingyun. It was just a different time period between, her technical disappearance in the Xianzhou arc and the beginning of the game versus now. So as though, even though, yes, I like Evernight, even though in my opinion, Evernight is a perfectly cool character, she's fine, her design is nice, I don't like it as much as I would if it was just March herself. But we'll get to them later on. Arlen, I think, hasn't appeared enough in story. So if we're talking about alts just for the sole concept of him actually getting characterization, I would be perfectly fine with that. This man, there's a lot of, let's be honest here, any of the 4 stars have a very low chance of being characterized. Now, I understand. Pella has a character quest. You can do it. It has links involved. I believe it was also a part of the museum rebuilding arc if you were there in the beginning of the game. So that's fine. I like Pella. And I think in terms of meta, she's still a great character. Obviously now she's kind of outshined by the fact that Silverwolf got buffed, but hey, speaking of Silverwolf, let's talk about her. I think Silverwolf is in a weird position. If you asked me before her buffs, I would say yes, absolutely. Now, she's still meta, but I can perfectly see a reason for you to justify giving her an alt if, and I mean this as an if she actually has a reason to get one. One of the bigger reasons that alts kind of at least help out certain characters is that they have a reason, in some cases, to appear in the story again. Every Dan alt has evolved in his character, and so it's perfectly fine to have him as an alt because, let's be honest here, if you like Dan, you get more Dan. Silverwolf appears once every blue moon, similar to the rest of the Stellaron Hunters, but Silverwolf appears during every gaming event and has no real evolution on her character. In my opinion, I personally thought she and Rapper would have some involvement together, but no, they don't even interact, so I'm kind of confused. And I want to clarify, we won't really be considering anybody from Euphorius because they're so new. I don't really think it's worthwhile. We'll kind of be discussing, I'd say everybody prior to the War Dance Festival. So if you're talking 2.0 on 2.0 and before, I could see a case being made for some of the 4 stars getting ones, Hook and Asta, just strictly because these characters don't really play much of a role anymore. But I understand we have a wide roster and a lot of people will be disappointed just to see reruns of returning characters again and again and again. If we're talking actual, like how much I personally would prefer, I don't care too much. Hook is cute, yes, but I would prefer just actual new characters instead of Hook. I like Silverwolf. I want more. As long as she keeps the minimal clothing. Natasha, she's a healer. To make her alts viable and for her to retain her role as a healer, she'd have to be like Hyacine levels. Let's be honest here, that ain't happening. QQ, she's a slacker. She's perfectly fine where she's at. Barely appearing all the time, barely in your teams, works out wonderfully. Sampo, I feel like if you're gonna do a Sampo alt, you kind of have to toss in characters like Sparkle because, that whole niche. So in that instance, I'd be fine. I think Dot could use additional characters, don't get me wrong, if you wanted to focus on him being a hit. If you wanted to give him a different path though, I think it'd be kind of iffy. Serval, I think Serval is fine where she's at. She got pretty major involvement within the plot line of HuoHuo, and so that's perfectly cool. Bailu, I could see a case being made for Bailu to get a larger form, either in the body type of Silverwolf for the team model or just an adult form, either one. I think Bailu is a healer that nobody really wants to use these days, and realistically speaking, she was only valuable early on because we had no other options. And so I like Bailu. I would be fine with more Bailu, but I don't know what they would do with her. With that being said, I would still put her into A tier because I can see a case being made for it, and I can, perfectly reasonably see you wanting her. She got some involvement in the Foxy and Tails arc. She got some involvement within the War Dance arc. She got, I believe, some involvement. I think she appeared in the drinking event. So she's been pretty frequent. She's not necessarily forgotten. I could see her being a C tier here. Ting Yun, out the question, she got an alt. Bronya, we have a lot of characters that look like Bronya. I'm not going to consider Bronya needing an alt. Clara and Yunli fulfill the same role, and that's kind of the issue right now. But let's ignore gameplay. Let's say they're not going for similar gameplay of these characters. Let's just talk about them as individual units. I love Clara, so I'm biased. More Clara, keep the feet out, keep the lack of pants. Yeah, Gepard, no. I don't like Himo. She's ruined too many 50-50s for me. Well, same deal. Though I want to clarify with the new Currency Wars gameplay mode we're kind of, approaching, I'm intrigued to see what they do. I don't know how I feel about alts of our cast and crew. I don't feel like Welt and Himiko have had enough development as is to even deserve one. And they're not limited characters, and they haven't been in any major plot points. They've just kind of been off to the side 90% of the time. So I don't really see a point in them getting an alt when they haven't even shown up. Sealy could use buffs, not an alt. Jing Yuan, he's fine. Yukong is pretty esteemed for a character no one wants to use. So I could see her getting an alt that's actually on the hunt path. Yeah, I could see that. Luocha, no, I think he's fine where he's at. Blade, see, I think for Blade, and he could use, I think, more buffs maybe. But I think Blade himself, he's fine. I wouldn't say it makes as much sense, but I think the biggest issue right now is Blade doesn't get much in terms of his modern appearances. I don't care about his past. I care about who he is right now. Luca, you got your ass beat by Yanjing in I think a boxing match. No, that's not, no. Kafka's fine. Both meta-wise and character-wise, she showed up more than Ebu. Lynx, give Lynx more. Lynx needs an ult. That ass don't quit, and secondarily, she doesn't show up as much. Don't get me wrong, she shows up a little bit here and there, but not to the extent to where I'd say she's on par with like Serval or even Gepard. Fuxuan, I love Fuxuan more. Jingliu got buffed, and Jingliu is already a strong character in lore. She doesn't appear. That's her biggest issue. Like, okay, she beat Hule, and not once during that quest line did she ever show up. And so I would be perfectly fine if she got like an actual hunt alt or something like that. Even if you went Nihility or something. I could understand that. Gunaifen, no. Topaz, I could see it, but she'd have to get more characterization, like Avin. During that Avin Peanut Honey arc, I could see it. I think as of right now, we're so far removed from that she'd have to be like reappear in the story. HuoHuo, she's fine. I love HuoHuo. I want more HuoHuo, but she's fine where she's at right now. She got like one of the best events in the game. Let's be real here. Hanya, I forget you're a character. So honestly speaking, you could probably use one. I'll put you up here next to Fu. Argenti, you appear at random times, so no. Zhuai, I'll put you here. Ron Mei, you're really good right now. I mean, you're still really good. You've been really consistent. Would you deserve an alt? I don't know. Erudition? An Erudition alt would make sense. Ratio? No. I like your VA. I don't like you. Misha, yes. Bring the boy back. Black Swan, she's been through a lot at this point. Sparkle, I could understand that, both from meta perspective and just in general. Acheron's a no, just because she's already an Emanator. Gallagher, I don't like you, like at all. No, go down here. Avin, no. Robin, you are dead set on your path. It wouldn't make sense for you to become a different path. Boot Hill, also dead set. Firefly, they'd have to, I feel like they could, if they added a new path, that'd work for you, but as of right now, no go. Jade, I forget you exist. Yunli, I love you, my girl, but B tier. Okay, this is my list for characters I think could do with an alt, apparently based off their story significance. I like a lot of these characters. I just don't know how HSR would perform with doing continuous alts of already existing characters, especially since a lot of them haven't shown up in ages. Let's be real here. If you're a 4-star, fuck you. But tell me your thoughts down below, and I'll see you next time.